Legend has it that King Henry VIII fell head over heels for Anne of Cleves, or at least her portrait. But when the real Anne showed up in England, the king took one look and practically screamed in horror. So what really happened? Was Anne actually unattractive, or was there something deeper, maybe even darker, going on? Let's rewind. Anne of Cleves was no peasant. Her father was the Duke of Cleves, a prominent Protestant who raised Anne and her sister Amalia to reject Catholic authority and embrace the Reformation. This made Anne the perfect political bride for Henry, who had divorced Catherine of Aragon and broken from the Pope. But maybe that same strict Protestant upbringing made Anne, well, less than charming in Henry's eyes. And speaking of charm, Henry didn't exactly pursue Anne in person. Instead, he sent his court painter, Hans Holbein, on a very awkward mission. Paint both Anne and Amalia, and don't you dare flatter them. Henry wanted honesty, because of course that always works out in love. The sisters, modest German ladies, kept their faces veiled. Holbein had to sweet-talk his way into getting a glimpse before finally painting them. When the portraits returned, Henry picked Anne over Amalia. But as any online data knows, a picture can only tell you so much. When Anne arrived in England, Henry couldn't wait to see her. So he did what any rational man would do. He put on a disguise and ambushed her. He expected Anne to see through the costume, recognize her dashing king, and fall instantly in love. She didn't. To Anne, he was just a burly, strange man invading her space. She was understandably polite but confused. Henry, however, took this as an insult of royal proportions. He was mortified, offended, and deeply embarrassed. But he couldn't back out. The wedding was already set in motion, and cancelling now would offend his powerful German allies. On January 6, 1540, Anne of Cleves became Henry's fourth wife. What followed was the most awkward honeymoon in history. The morning after, Henry moaned that he didn't like her before very well, but now I like her much worse. When her ladies questioned Anne, she said, "When he comes to bed, he kisseth me, taketh me by the hand, and biddeth me good night. In the morning he kisseth me, and biddeth farewell." She may have honestly believed that was consummation. Henry, on the other hand, had more dramatic complaints. He claimed Anne had evil smells, and most scandalously, questioned her virginity based on the looseness of her tokens. Charming, right? Henry wasn't about to be stuck in a marriage he didn't enjoy, so he did what he did best, plot his way out. Anne had once been briefly betrothed to another man. Though it was called off, Henry used this technicality to hold a full-blown royal trial to annul the marriage. He wanted to claim the marriage was never consummated, but also needed everyone to know he wasn't impotent. So he hired a doctor to testify that he had experienced nocturnal emissions while not sleeping with Anne. Translation: the king was just fine, thank you very much. It was Anne who was the problem. In the end, Henry got his annulment. But here's the twist. Anne didn't just survive, she thrived. She walked away from the marriage with her head intact, a generous severance package, several estates, and the honorary title of King's beloved sister. She even ranked just below the Queen and Henry's daughters in royal precedence. She sent gifts to Prince Edward, got along famously with Princess Mary and Princess Elizabeth, and remained a respected member of court. When Catherine Howard, Henry's next wife, was beheaded for adultery, Anne quietly hoped she might win Henry back. No such luck. Henry chose Catherine Parr instead, a widow older than Anne. Ouch. Still, Anne played her cards right. She remained in England and lived out her days in comfort and security. She outlived all of Henry's other wives, and even Henry himself. Anne of Cleves died on July 16, 1557, just shy of her 42nd birthday. She was buried in Westminster Abbey, the only one of Henry's wives to receive that honour. Her tomb simply reads, Anne of Cleves, Queen of England. Not bad for the Queen, who was supposedly too plain to keep.